All right, let's talk about something every developer knows and, well, doesn't exactly love. API errors. They can be a huge pain. But what if those frustrating red messages weren't actually roadblocks? What if they were road signs pointing you exactly where you need to go? Today, we're going to learn how to read those signs. We're going to turn frustrating errors into actionable signals. Let's dive in.
Yeah, does this screen look a little too familiar? You've been coding, you finally hit run, and bam, an error pops up. It's so easy to feel completely stuck right here. But don't worry, you are in exactly the right place. We are about to pull back the curtain on these common hurdles.
So here's the big mindset shift we need to make. An error is not a dead end. It's not a failure. It's literally the API talking to you, giving you clues about what went wrong. Our job, as developers, is just to get good at translating its language.
And to get really good at that, we're going to group these signals into a few key themes. First, we'll look at what I call gatekeeper errors. These are the ones that decide if you're even allowed in the door. Then we'll tackle request errors, which happen when you're just not speaking the API's language correctly. After that, we'll navigate the tricky marketplace maze, handle service errors, the ones that are not your fault, and finally, we'll put it all together into your ultimate troubleshooting toolkit.
Okay, first up, the bouncers at the front door. These are the gatekeeper errors. This is all about proving you have the right keys to the kingdom. It's about your permissions, your identity, and whether you're actually authorized to do what you're trying to do.
Now, this is a really subtle one, but it's super important to get. What's the difference between access denied exception and not authorized? Think of it this way. Access denied exception means the bouncer knows who you are, but you're just not on the VIP list for this specific party. Not authorized, on the other hand, is a bigger issue. The bouncer might not even be sure who you are at all. So if you see that, your first stop should be checking your IAM roles and your organization's policies.
All right, so beyond those general permissions, there are even more specific gatekeepers that check your actual credentials and whether you've been approved to use a particular model. Let's look at a few of those.
And this table breaks down 3 really common ones. Invalid client token ID is pretty straightforward. You've got a typo in your access key. Just double check it. Bad score exception is a bit different. That means you need to reach out to AWS support to get access to that specific model. And FTU form not filled? That's just a paperwork issue. You literally just have to fill out a form like the use case form required for Anthropic's models. Easy fix.
Okay, you're past the bouncer, you're in the club. Now you actually have to talk to the API. This next bucket of errors is all about what happens when you're not speaking its language correctly. Maybe your request has a typo, it's formatted wrong, or it's just plain old.
Think of these as the API's version of spelling and grammar mistakes. A validation error means your input just doesn't follow the rules. Time to check the API docs. Invalid action is almost always a spelling mistake in the action's name. And if you see incomplete signature, that's a huge hint that you probably need to update your AWS SDK. See the pattern here? Always check the docs and keep your tools up to date.
Here are 2 more. Resource not found. That's the classic 404 error. You're asking for something that just isn't there, like a mistyped model ID. Pro tip, build a fallback into your code just in case. Now, request expired is more interesting. It sounds technical, but it usually just means your computer's clock is out of sync. It's a surprisingly easy fix. Just sync your machine with a time server.
Now for a really special category. When you're trying to use a model from a third party, you have to go through the AWS Marketplace. And this process has its own unique, time-sensitive errors. You have to think of it like a short waiting game that has a specific set of rules.
So here's how it plays out. Right after you subscribe, you might see an MP agreement being created error. The solution? Seriously? Just wait. Go grab a coffee. After about 15 minutes, if it's still not ready, you'll see agreement pending. That's your signal to start retrying every so often. But if you get an agreement failed, that's a different story. That's a sign you need to investigate something else, probably an issue with your payment method.
So far, pretty much all the errors have been, well, kind of our fault, right? Our code, our permissions. But what happens when the problem is on the other side? These are service errors. And the most important thing to remember here is, it's not you, it's them. Our job is just to build apps that can handle these server-side hiccups with grace.
So, you get a too busy signal. But who's busy? Is it you or is it them? A throttling exception means you are sending too many requests and you've hit your personal limit. But a service unavailable error means the service itself is having a tough time. The cause is different, but you know what? Your first move is almost always the same. retry the request.
But how do you retry the smart way? This is the gold standard. Exponential backoff with jitter. Instead of just hammering the server over and over, you wait a second. Then you wait 2 seconds. Then 4. You get it. And jitter? That just means adding a tiny random delay so you don't have a thundering herd of clients all retrying at the exact same millisecond. This is a must-have for any serious application.
And hey, if you're constantly getting throttled in a production app, it might be time to level up. That's where provisioned throughput comes in. It's how you solve this problem for good. You're basically reserving your own private express lane on the highway, so you never have to worry about traffic jams again.
And finally, we have the classic catch-all, the internal failure, a 500 error. This just means something unexpected went wrong on the server. Your first move is always the same, a smart retry with exponential backoff. If you keep seeing it, that's when you know it's time to gather the details and contact AWS support.
Whew, we have covered a lot of ground. So let's bring it all home. Let's pack our go bag with all the key takeaways and proactive strategies that will help you stop these errors before they even start.
Okay, here it is, your cheat sheet. First, make smart retries your default for any server issue. Seriously, always keep your SDKs up to date. It's an easy win. Keep an eye on your service quotas. Double, even triple check your permissions and resource names before you make a call. Plan for failure by building fallbacks for missing resources. And please, just make sure your system's clock is synced up. Making these habits part of your workflow will make your apps stronger and your life as a developer so much easier.
So, the next time you see an API error, don't throw your keyboard. Don't get frustrated. See it for what it is, a signal, a guide that's pointing you right to the solution. You now have the toolkit to translate what the API is trying to tell you. So the only real question left is, now that you're not afraid of the errors, what are you going to build? Thanks for joining me.